All right, so we'll begin today laying on your backs. You can have your legs however they're comfortable. So you can hug them into your chest. You can bring the soles of the feet to the ground or just let them reach long on your mat. Whatever's most comfortable to you right now. I'm just letting your eyes close if they're not closed. Relaxing all the muscles in your face. Feeling your body just sinking a little closer to your mat. And bring one hand to your belly and one hand to your heart. And just breathing your natural breath. Notice where that breath is traveling. And then begin to send your breath into the hand that's on your belly. Feeling that hand rising as you inhale and falling as you exhale. And feeling both of the hands. Breathe into the hand in your belly and let that travel into the hand in your heart. And as you exhale, let the hand on your heart fall, followed by the hand on your belly. Just a few more rounds of breath like this. As you inhale, just seeing positive, uplifting thoughts and energy entering the body. As you exhale, letting go of anything you no longer need today. One more full round of breath. And then you can release the hands by your side and just take a few windshield wipers with the knees back and forth, widening the feet, the mat's width distance. I'm just starting to feel into the glutes, starting to loosen up the lower back. Moving as quickly or as slowly as you want to move. And then when you feel ready, you can hug the knees into the chest and gently rock side to side, massaging the lower back. And then you can grab the backs of the knees and just start to rock along the length of your spine, kicking the legs back, using your core. And meeting in a seat eventually, whenever you get there. You can sit in a cross-legged position just for a moment. We'll start to warm up the neck a little bit. So just allow your right ear to fall to your right shoulder. And gently let your head fall down to center. And take it to the other side so that your left ear comes to your left shoulder. Pause for a moment. And just do that a few times. Same thing here. You can move as quickly or as slowly as you want to this morning. And have the eyes closed or have them open. Whatever feels best. You can linger any areas that feel extra good. Skip over any areas that feel a bit funky. Just a few more rounds of breath. And once you're starting to feel loose and even on both sides of the neck, you can just gently guide your head back to center and pause for a moment. Then bring your hands in front of your shins and you can roll over the ankles and just come right into a forward fold from here. So straightening out the legs, letting the torso or the belly rest on the thighs. You can grab opposite elbows or take any expression with the arms that feels right. And let them just dangle, or opposite elbows, or grabbing the ankles. And we'll take a few moments here. So just start to notice where the weight is concentrated on your feet. You can start to rock forward and back, and side to side, so that you can really feel the difference of when the weight's mostly on your heels, when the weight's mostly on the balls of the feet, and either side of the foot. And then try to find that middle ground where the weight feels evenly distributed. And then shift a little bit more of it to the ball of your foot so that you feel your sit bones lifting higher. You feel the backs of the legs lengthening even when they're still bent. Just feeling that extra length. Feel your navel pulling into the spine, finding a little bit more space hinging at the hips. And then scan your spine from your tailbone through the low, middle, upper back, the back of the neck, through the crown of the head. As you inhale, scan from your tailbone to your head. And as you exhale, scan from your head to your tailbone. Feeling the spine getting a little bit longer each exhale. Relaxing the jaw, the forehead, the shoulders. 3 more breaths here. And then very slowly, you can begin to roll yourself up to stand. Just 1 vertebra at a time, no rush at all. Stacking each vertebrae on top of each other, rolling the shoulders back at the top, palms facing out in your mountain pose. So standing in your mountain pose, just feeling the soles of your feet rooting down, but also drawing the energy up. Feeling length starting from the soles of the feet. The head over your heart, over your heels. And then interlace your hands and bring them so the palms face up. Feel yourself lifting up and out of your waist. Feel the palms reaching a little bit higher. Awesome. And then hug the shoulders up to your ears. So feel that more length growing in the sides of the body. Feel yourself lifting from the waist. Energy reaching through the palms of the hands. And then let the shoulders relax. Inhale, lift the shoulders up. And exhale, bend over to your right. So you might not move too much, but you want to keep the shoulders hugged up to the ears here. You keep feeling that extra length. Feel that space from the outside of your left foot all the way through the left side body. And then on your next inhale, come back up to center. Inhale, shoulders reaching up. Exhale, shoulders relaxing down. And then inhale, shoulders can reach up. And exhale, bend over to the left. Perfect. You can notice right away if it feels different over here. And trying to keep your arms or your biceps in line with the ears. And keeping your tailbone tucking down, so keeping the length in the spine the whole way. Perfect. Coming back to your breath, deepening the breath if you're feeling the sweat or. And then on your next inhale, come back up to center. Reach 1 more time. And exhale, release the hands and slowly lower them down by your side. Maybe shake them out, maybe roll out the shoulders. And then coming back to the top of your mat if you left. Inhale, reach your arms up and high. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, release. Now plant your hands down and really slowly walk your feet back to about the midway point of your mat. And then bring them as wide as your mat. So we're coming into a really short down dog with a wide stance. So keep all the same ideas as in down dog. Let the energy reach through the hips, so your hips are still lifting higher. You can play around until you find a distance that feels good. And then try to put more weight into your left hand and make your left arm really strong. See if you can reach back to grab your left ankle with your right hand, grabbing the outside of the right ankle. Perfect. So it's this little twisted down dog, maybe looking underneath your left armpit, maybe putting a bend in your right arm to deepen this a little bit. A few breaths here and try to keep your hips pretty center. So they might want to shift over to the left with you. Try to keep them center. Keep everything about the legs the same. And then you can release your right arm back down. And then we'll do that on the other side. So right arm becomes strong, hand becomes strong. And then reach for the outside of your right ankle with your left hand. Shifting your hips back to center. You can grab anywhere on the leg too. If the ankle feels a bit too low, maybe grabbing higher up, just playing around, finding this right expression of the pose for you today. More breaths here. And then when you're ready, you can release your left hand and bring your feet to your regular down dog. So you can set them together and back. So they're about hips width distance. Just finding your down dog, seeing if it feels any different today than any other day. And then maybe bringing the heel of your foot over the balls of your foot. So really stretching out the soles of your feet with all the toes on the ground. And maybe pedaling out each feet. So slowly letting each heel reach down toward the ground. Feeling all the energy consolidating to your hips, lifting as high as they can. And as you inhale, you can start to roll your body through into a plank position, holding for a moment, and then exhale, lift it back up to your down dog. We'll flow a few times like this. Inhale, roll through to plank. Exhale, lift it back up, down dog. At your own pace. You might want to move like this really quickly and get more reps in, or maybe you want to do this a lot slower and feel each moment of the pose. As you come into it, as you come out of it, there's no right or wrong way to do this. Just move with your breath. Letting the breath guide your movement, and maybe even leading from the hips. So letting the hips sink down to bring you into plank, and then lift up to bring you into down dog. Do 2 more rounds wherever you are. And then we'll meet in a plank position. Holding this plank for a few breaths. Feeling really strong, pulling the navel up, lifting the back of the heart. And then allowing your knees to drop if they need to, slowly bending the elbows alongside the ribs. Bring yourself down to your belly. And root the tops of your feet into the mat. And zip up the legs so you feel the legs really strong. Rooting down and together. Your hands are right under the shoulders. As you inhale, lift your heart to your baby cobra. So let this lift come from the muscles in your back. So rooting down in your pubic bone, drawing your shoulder blades slightly together and down the back, feeling the muscles on the sides of your rib cage pulling together and down. With your gaze just in front of your mat. So your neck stays long, chin is slightly tucked. And just feel strong here. We'll stay here a few more breaths. Feel every aspect of this pose. Feel the legs strong, the glutes strong. The energy reaching through the heart. 2 more breaths. And next exhale, gently release down to the ground. You can make a pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead there. Bend your knees into the bum and take a few windshield wipers here. Massaging your belly, releasing the low back. And then you can extend your legs long as you're ready. And we'll come into a Sphinx pose. So you can come onto your elbows, bring them in line with the shoulders, but slightly in front. They don't have to be directly underneath the shoulders, just a little bit in front. And your pointer fingers are facing forward. Your thumbs are pointing more toward each other. Same thing as in baby cobra. Root down in the tops of the feet and fire up the legs. Root down in your pubic bone. And then feel as if you could energetically pull your heart through your hands. And feel as if you could drag the floor towards you. You're feeling that lift. It's a very active pose if you make it that way. So rooting down in the hands and the forearms, pulling the ground toward you, pulling your heart up, but feeling the shoulders come away from the ears a bit more. Great. And then from here, just look over your left shoulder, adding a slight twist, maybe looking at your hip, and then come back to center and look over your right shoulder. You can do that a few times if you want. And then once you come back to center, just take 2 breaths here in the center. Really thinking about every aspect of the pose, lifting the heart a little bit higher. And then exhale, release your head back down to the hands and take a few more windshield wipers with the legs. Notice your breath. Notice how your breath has been this whole time. And then coming back to center, we're going to take this really nice shoulder stretch. So you can extend your left arm in line with the shoulder with the palm facing down. And then bring your right hand right next to your shoulder with the elbow bent and start to roll onto your left hip a little bit more. If you can feel this already in your shoulder just by pushing into your right hand, then no need to go any further. You can also put a bend in your left hand if that feels better, to like goalpost hands, if this doesn't feel good with the arms straight. But breathing into your left pectoral, that's where you should be feeling this the most. So maybe you feel this somewhere else entirely. So breathing into that area. A few more breaths here. And then gently rolling back onto your belly. And then extending your right arm out to the side. You can extend it out to the side or put a 90-degree angle in goalpost. And then push into your left hand, rolling onto the right hip. And you can bend your top leg and bring the soles of the feet together into your whale's tail. Or you can just extend the legs or just find any expression that your body naturally wants to do. Breathing into your right pectoral or your right shoulder. Noticing how it feels on this side compared to the last side. And 2 more breaths. And then gently you can roll back onto your belly as you're ready. Bring the hands right underneath the shoulders and the elbows are pointing up. Tuck the navel into the spine and just push yourself up into your tabletop position. Take some movements here, so you can move intuitively just to start. So get any wiggles out. The shoulders might feel like they want some love, so maybe rolling out the shoulders or shaking side to side. And then we'll move a little bit more intentionally whenever you're ready. So just checking in with your alignment. See that your wrist creases are parallel to the front edge of your mat. Rooting down in the base of your thumb, pointer, and pinky, and the tips of your fingers. And then as you inhale, drop your belly down as you lift your tailbone and lift your gaze to your cow pose. And then exhale, pull the navel to the spine, tuck the chin and tailbone to your cat pose. So move like this a few times. How about 4 times? But I encourage you to move a little bit slower than normal. And these don't have to be really big movements either. If it feels good to make big movements, then go ahead. These can be as subtle as you'd like. And then once you're done with your 4 rounds, you can meet back in a neutral tabletop. And then we'll take a few rounds on wagging your tail. So you can look back toward your right hip as you bring your right hip closer to you. And then come back, look back toward your left hip. So wiggling a few times like this. And same thing, you can move quickly or slowly, but I encourage you to just move a little bit slower than you might normally, so you can maybe feel something you haven't felt before. Maybe feeling that extra length on the larger or on the longer side of the body, feeling that crunching on the shorter side of the body. Noticing how this affects the neck, and the hands. And then you can come back to center whenever you're ready and come into your cow pose as you inhale. Then exhale, sit the hips on the heels and come into your child's pose. Inhale, come up into your cow pose. And exhale, drop down into your child's pose. So moving at your own pace like this a few times. Just flowing it out, inhaling the good on your inhales and exhaling what you don't need on the exhales. If at any point this becomes too much on the wrist, you can always stack or come onto your fists as well. That can feel a lot better to have just straight wrists. And if this becomes too much on the knees, always just put a pillow under there or a blanket. And your next inhale, coming back up to center in your neutral tabletop. We'll do a few more shoulder stretches. So on your next inhale, raise your right arm out to the side and up. So you open your heart up to the right. And then exhale to thread the needle. Bringing the right arm underneath your left, resting your right shoulder and right ear on the ground. Option to push into your left hand to come a little bit deeper, maybe looking toward the ceiling. Or you can walk the fingertips forward, getting more length. Or you can bring the arm back behind your back. Whatever your first instinct was, trusting that. Every exhale, just seeing if you can look toward the ceiling a little bit more. And then on your next inhale, you can bring the hand back to the ground in front of your face if it's left. And push into your left hand, bringing the right arm all the way back out and up. And exhale, release back to your tabletop. We're just feeling the difference, and then we'll do that on the other side. On your next inhale, raise your left arm out to the side and up, opening the heart to your left. And exhale, thread the needle. The left shoulder, left ear coming to the ground. Same options. You can push into the right hand, you can extend it forward or reach it behind your back. Maybe whatever you did on the other side. Each exhale looking toward the ceiling a little bit more. And then on your next inhale, if the right hand's not at the ground, you can bring it there. Push into that hand, bringing your left arm all the way back, out and up. And then exhale to release back to your tabletop. Now start to get into the hips a little bit more. So first, just to warm them up, bring your hips all the way to the left here. So staying in tabletop, but hips are falling to the left, feeling that. And then bring them back to center, bring them to the right, to the other side. And shake them a few times like this. Then you can bring them back to center and let the hips be heavy, sinking forward a bit, and then bringing them back. So just noticing the ways that the hips move. You can circle around in this way. You can stay in one particular motion if that feels better. Just noticing how the hips can come forward, they can come back, they can come side to side. And really feeling the hips moving in their sockets. Maybe taking big circles, feeling them rotating in the sockets. Awesome. Really good. All right. So when you're ready, you can come back up to center. And then just step your right foot outside of your right hand. And we're going to come into a lizard pose. So you can walk that foot forward a bit, or adjust your back foot at all, maybe rooting into the top of your back foot or tucking the toes under and adjusting that knee in a way. Just finding your right stance here. And stay wherever your natural limit is. So if this is feeling like plenty right now, you can stay up here on the hands. Or if you automatically feel like you can come down onto the forearms, you can come down when you're ready. And it's okay that your toes, they might be pointing more toward 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock out to the side a bit. That's perfectly fine. Send all of your breath into your right hip and see how heavy you can get your hips to be. See how much you can relax your head, and notice if you fully relax your head, you feel that a bit more in your left hip flexor, front of your left thigh, the front of your hip. Let's take 5 more really full breaths. One more full breath. And then slowly begin to come onto your hands if you're on the forearms. And just gently lift your sit bones back and up so that straightens out your front leg. Come under your front heel and leave the foot where it is. And we'll just stretch the inside of the hamstring here for a moment. So both of your hands are inside of your right foot. Feel yourself hinging at the hips. Feel this really nice stretch down the inside of the right leg. Feel the toes reaching toward your shin. And now just bring your right hand outside of this leg as you heel toe your right foot off to the left side of the mat. And we'll come into a pigeon pose. So you can put a bend in your right leg. Perfect. And start to sit down here. If this is too much, you can always lay on your back and do a reclined pigeon. So you bring your right ankle on top of your left knee and pull that ankle closer to you as you push the knee further away from you. But wherever you are is perfect. Just take a look at your back leg. Make sure it stays in line with the hip. Lift out of your waist maybe, and then start to walk your hands forward. So you feel that extra length and then coming forward. So you keep all of that length as you come to lay in your pigeon pose. Resting the head on the hands, maybe stacked fists on the block or the floor. Each inhale, seeing your breath traveling into your hips. And each exhale, watching this breath spread and disperse throughout the hips, softening and releasing this area a little bit more. Relaxing the jaw, the eyebrows, forehead, and the shoulders. Feeling the full weight of your torso. Taking 3 more really big breaths here. And then very slowly and gently, whenever you're ready, begin to come onto the hands. Tuck your back toes under and just start to scoot your knee up so that you can push back into a tabletop position. Maybe reaching your leg back behind you to shake it out a bit. And just doing anything you need to reset before we do all that on the other side. When you're ready, you can step your left foot outside of your left hand, and we'll come into lizard pose. So again, with your back knee, you can either tuck the toes down and just adjust your back leg, scooching it back a bit more. Perfect, and then letting it come back down, yeah. And then untucking the toes if that feels better. And you can come right into your lizard pose if you feel ready for that. You can just notice how this feels on this side. Notice what's talking to you the most. And then coming onto the forearms, or onto blocks, or onto the mat, whenever you feel ready for that. And again, it's okay if the toe is pointing about 45 degree angles out to the left. Notice if there's any pain in this position, just come out of this. There will be some discomfort. If you're feeling any sense of pain, there's another option where you can do this laying on your back, and you can hug your knee in and grab the outside. So it's just the same pose, but reclined. If you're feeling some discomfort, just using that as your cue to deepen the breath. Relaxing your forehead, relaxing your jaw. Letting each exhale soften one more thing. Whether that's an area in the body or a repeating thought. Let something go on each exhale. Be here for 5 more really full rounds of breath. We're going for quality and not speed here. One more full round. And then slowly coming back onto the hands, lifting the sit bones back slowly and straightening out your left leg. We'll pause for a moment for this inside of your hamstring stretch. So the toes pointing toward your shins, hinging more at the hips. And feeling your hips be pretty even. Really letting your breath be loud and proud. And doing your ujjayi breath, adding that slight restriction in the back of the throat, that oceanic breath. One more full round. And then you can begin to heel toe your left foot off to the right side of the mat. And we'll come into pigeon pose on the other side. No rush at all. Just putting a bend in your left leg, making sure the right leg stays in line with the hip. Maybe staying lifted and feeling yourself lifting out of the waist. So you get that extra length. Beautiful. And then walking the hands forward. So that brings you down instead of just coming straight down. Just keeping all of that length. Maybe bring some attention to your sacrum, feeling your sacrum parallel to the ceiling, maybe centering the hips a little bit more. Noticing where the mind is going. Noticing how the body is reacting to those thoughts in the mind. I'm starting to see that link. So if we have a repeating thought within the mind, it's almost always linked to some area in the body. Whether that's an area of tension or knots or anything at all. Sometimes it can be easier to tell our body to relax than it is to tell the mind. So if we can bring ourselves into the body and consciously soften each part of the body, we'll notice that the mind will naturally soften with it. I'm taking 3 more full rounds of breath here. And then very slowly, whenever you're ready, no rush at all, you can come onto the forearms, the hands. And this time we'll just shift the weight into your left hip. And we're actually going to come right into a wide leg forward fold here. So you can just keep your back leg back and just extend your left leg out to the side. If that makes sense. If not, just come into your wide leg forward fold. So let's stay lifted for a moment. If you want to make this more restorative, you can grab all the pillows and just lean forward. Or you can keep the feet pretty flexed to start, the hands out in front. Inhale and find length in the spine. And exhale, walk the hands forward. So keeping that idea of lifting out of the waist, keeping the length, walking forward rather than down. Or if it feels completely natural and better for you to just fold here, you can do that as well. You can relax the legs, you can curl up the spine, rest your head on your fists, or whatever feels best. My cues are just suggestions, so do with them what you will. Notice where you're feeling this the most. Some will feel this most in the spine, in the back. Others most in the insides of the legs or the outsides of the legs. Maybe the backs of the legs. Wherever that is for you today, bring all of your attention there. See how you can help out with your breath. Sending your breath places can sound a bit abstract at times, but it really is just as simple as thinking about a body part as you breathe in. Feeling this in the hips, think about your hips as you inhale. And your breath has a natural intelligence to it as well, so if that feels too much for you to even think about, don't worry about it and trust that your breath will naturally go wherever it's needed the most. Now from here in the center of this wide leg forward fold, start to walk both your hands to your left leg. And you can bring your left hand or forearm on the inside or the outside of your leg, and then just bring your right hand behind your back. And start to open your heart a bit, feeling this really big side body stretch. It might feel better for you to extend. You can play around with where this hand goes, but feeling this down the waist. And then notice if your right sit bone starts to lift up, and see if you can come up a little bit so that that sit bone stays down, keeping the idea of the length in the side bodies. And the heart is feeling like it could reach toward the ceiling. Just a few breaths here, breathing into the right side of the body. You can release your arm and really slowly start to reach toward your foot. So you're bringing your shoulders to frame your foot. There's an option if you want to grab your left foot with your right hand and pull here. You get a really nice stretch down the right side of the back. Or if this is enough for you just to frame the foot and focus on your hamstring, you can do that as well. So again, noticing your right sit bone, noticing your right leg, checking in with that, seeing what that's doing. And then adjusting yourself as you need to have everything about your legs staying the same, kind of like what we did in our wide leg down dog at the beginning of class. Keeping everything about the lower body the same. Just noticing how these little shifts in our upper body change the pose entirely. If you want this a little bit more active, you can inhale and find length, and you can exhale, hinge deeper, lifting your heart toward the shin, your forehead toward the toes. Or always option to just surrender and curl. Just a few more rounds of breath here. And then very slowly, start to walk your hands back to the center. We're not coming up just yet. Just notice how this is feeling. Might get a little loud, but keep walking your hands over to the right leg. We'll do that side body stretch again. So you can bring the right hand either on the inside of the leg or the outside. If you come outside, you have the option to open up a little bit deeper. And then same thing here. So you can open your heart, feeling like it could reach toward the ceiling. It won't, but and then extending that arm if that feels better, just getting a super nice side body stretch, or always option to bring it behind the back. And always keeping the idea of length. So lifting up first and then over. Beautiful. Checking in with your left sit bone, noticing if that's lifting at all. And then coming to a point where that can be firm on the ground. Staying really deep with the breath here. Not letting the breath leave you even for a moment. And if it does, just calmly coming back to it. 2 more breaths. And then you can reach your left arm for your right foot, getting a nice stretch down the left side of the back, or simply just bring your hands to frame your right foot and bring your shoulders to frame your right foot. And wherever you are, just noticing the different sensations in your back muscles. We've done a lot of stuff with the back today with baby cobra and sphinx. Now we're really stretching out those muscles as well. So noticing how that's feeling, noticing how the hips are feeling. We did a lot of stuff there too. Let's take 3 more full rounds of breath right here. And we'll gently begin to walk your hands back to center. And we'll just take 2 full breaths here in the center, seeing how much more you can release, how much closer you naturally are to the ground now. And then very slowly walk the hands back toward the hips, gently bringing yourself back up to your seat. Grab the outsides of the knees and gently bring them in together. Maybe give yourself a hug, maybe do anything that feels good to do right now. You can shake out the legs, maybe massage them a little bit. Hamstrings are probably talking loud. And then when you're ready, we're going to come into Supta Baddha Konasana, or your reclined bound angle pose. So you can come into this however you want. You can come into your bound angle to start and then slowly lower yourself to lay on your back, or just lay down and then bring your soles of your feet to touch and the knees out to the sides. Whatever is the best way for you, and complete freedom with the distance of your feet this time. So they can be rather far away if you want to feel a bit more open and restorative, or if you want to focus more on stretching your hip flexors, you can bring the feet in closer to your seat. If this feels too much altogether, you the option to just bring your knees together completely, maybe even separating the feet wider than or as wide as the mat as the knees knock into each other, getting that opposite internal rotation. We've done a lot of work on the hips, so if you want to open, stay open, or if you're ready to close, feel free. So from your reclined bound angle pose, just start to bring your left knee back up, and then bring your left knee on top of your right. And bring both knees in line with the hips if they're not there, just coming right into your reclined twist. So your right hand can be on top of the knees, or they can be stretched out long in line with the shoulders. Maybe turning your gaze to look over the left shoulder. And letting yourself surrender here, so no need to pull anything. Just see where you naturally fall as you exhale. You tell your body to release. Where does the body fall? Just let yourself be there. And then gently just guiding your head back to center, the knees back to center. You can come back into your reclined bound angle. That feels good. And then just take your knees to the other side. So bringing your right knee up to center and stacking that on top of your left. Turning your gaze to look over the right shoulder. And the left hand can come to support the knees. They're underneath or on top. And finding yourself surrendering here. Relaxing the belly fully. Relaxing the face fully. The hips, the shoulders. Just feeling the stillness of this moment. And gently, as you're ready, you can start to bring your head and your knees back to center. And hug the knees into the chest. If there's any sort of poses that we haven't done today that you would love to do, feel free to do so before we come into our final resting pose. And if you're starting to feel ready, you can bring your legs and arms up to the ceiling. And just releasing everything in all the limbs. And just allow your limbs to feel detached from the body. Allow them to rest in their sockets. Allow your organs to rest to the back body as well here. So feel that softness in the belly and all the organs settling into their home. Everything inside of your body being exactly where it's supposed to be. Feeling any energy that doesn't serve you, releasing through the hands and feet. And any energy that does serve you, sinking down into your body. If at any point you feel ready to come into happy baby, you can do so. You can rock a few times on the spine. Any other things you need to do, feel free. And whenever you're ready, we will meet in our final Shavasana. Just allowing your feet and hands to fall where they naturally fall. Feeling that you're fully supported by the mat beneath you. Feeling your slow and gentle breath moving in and out of the body on its own. Feeling the expansion of the forehead, of the eyebrows. Feeling the heaviness of the jaw. And the beating of the heart, beating of the belly, softness in the glutes and in the pelvic floor, the weight of your legs and your arms, and the heartbeat in the hands and the feet. The heartbeat of the very crown of your head, the space between the eyebrows. Allow yourself to fully rest here. Just a few more minutes. Allowing the healing benefits of this practice to soak in fully to your body. If you would like to stay here longer, please feel free to do so. And if you're feeling ready to make your way out of this, and allow my voice to guide you. So just first starting by noticing the breath again. And then deepening the breath to fill up every corner of the body. Energizing yourself a little bit more with each inhale. Adding some movement into the fingers, the toes, the hands, the feet, wrists, and the ankles. Maybe rocking your head side to side, massaging the back of the skull. Maybe reaching the arms overhead for a nice morning stretch. Whenever you feel ready to do so, you can bring the knees toward the chest and just make your way into a fetal position on one side. And pausing for just a moment here. And as you're ready, just leaving the eyes closed for now, you can make your way back up to your feet. And we'll meet with our hands at heart center. Taking this moment to fully and deeply thank yourselves for showing up today. For your dedication to this practice every day. May this continue to heal you throughout the rest of your days and the rest of your weekend, and bring some of this love and light into everyone that you cross paths with. Namaste.